What's up, Internet Land? Zachamus Prime, aka Zachamus Prime, here with another Transformers third-party review. This is actually yet another string of reviews. My friend who loaned me the Dr. Wu figures some time ago, he's got a bunch more, and he came by, and he just had this, like, I'm sorry about any background noise. It's probably my cat being an asshole. Alright, I've closed her out now, so maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't, who knows. Anyhow, so he dropped off a big old pile of his Dr. Wu figures, and he's like, hey, you want to review this? And I was like, sure. Haven't reviewed anything in a while. This will give me an opportunity to try and get back into the review headspace, So here we go. So I've got here a pile of Dr. Wu figures. Most of them are his. One of them is mine. And I'll just talk about them. I'll start with mine because I love it. So this is Delta Magnus. And sometimes people ask me, well, who's this guy? And I was like... And I have to explain the whole thing about, like, you know, Diaclone and stuff like that, because you can't really explain Delta Magnus without explaining that he's, you know, the whole process. But anyhow, so yeah, this is just straight up a repaint of this. I think it's straight up a repaint. I don't know if there's minor sculpting differences on it. I should have looked it up. But it is a repaint of all the Ultra Magnus. And I think it looks really good. The blue is nice. The light gray is nice. The dark gray, also nice. It has all the same, you know, good things of the Ultra Magnus mold, plus all the same failings. He does come with all these accessories, plus he comes with an Energon axe, which I don't have on him right now. I could go get it, but it's in the other room, and I'd have to stand up, and so you'll just have to pretend that there's an Energon axe. And the articulation is the same. He's got a ball joint here, a ball joint to the shoulders that goes all the way around, comes out that far. He's got biceps over here, single bend at the elbow for 90 degrees. He comes with this gun. He's got his hip joints are little ball joints, which I don't know. I'm trying to decide if I feel like they're getting floppy or not. I've had this figure for a couple months now. Knee joints. Jeez. I can't talk today for shit. Knees, ankle articulation, just the whole spiel. And getting him transformed is exactly the same as the last one. First thing we're going to do is we're going to strip off his Ultra Magnus armor. So play the music slowly. Just pop these off, pop that off. This comes out of these two tabs there. And then you've got his legs that you just kind of lever them off of. There we go. And there we go. And this one, of course, you can turn into his little mini prime mode. And this also looks good. Nice blue paint apps there for the windows. Silver, little gunmetal on there. The hands are painted gray. A little black on his waist section. Again, it looks really good. To get this all turned into his armor mode, we're going to take this, turn that, flip that down like that, rotate the head around, and I believe it flips up like that. I don't know, I'll have to see. You want to open up these flaps on the leg parts. Take his gun out of his hand. Take these missile launchers off of his shoulders. Those will all come into play later. And then we're going to start by splitting the shoulder here. Bring that up and around. And then this whole shoulder assembly, you've got a tab and a slot. They're going to tab and slot into each other. And then these are also going to tab and slot into each other. And these, what do you know, will also tab and slot. You want to raise up both of his hands so that this little armor section is left behind. This is going to come around like so. And probably come untabbed in the process. Like so. And then you want to take this. That's not how that goes at all, is it? Yeah, it is. Plug these together like that. You'll see there's this little kind of like tab hooky part here that kind of fits in this little slot there. That goes in like so. I swear I'm doing everything right, but it just feels wrong for some reason. And yeah, these all tab together like that. And then you'll plug these little missile launchers up here. And then the gun has got a little peg on the side. You plug it in right there. And rotate this like that. And then this, of course, is just a repaint of Optimus Prime. So you're going to transform it exactly the same as you transformed Optimus Prime way back in the day. So flip those wheels down. Slot these elbows in. Peg those legs together. Slide them up like so. And there you have that. And there you have that. And there you have Delta Magnus in his vehicle mode. All in all, Delta Magnus is a fantastic figure. I mean, it's intrinsically not any better than Ultra Magnus, of course. But I don't know. You know, I've not actually gotten any Diaclone homage figures before, and just this felt like getting something different, you know? But anyhow, I'm going to put that aside, and we'll pull out Seekers. We'll pull out Seekers. So we've got the Coneheads. I believe they come in... I don't know how these are packaged, to be honest. I think 2 of these come packaged with each other, and the third one comes packaged with Cosmos, maybe? Either Cosmos or... No, I think Perceptor came in his own package. I think it came with Cosmos. I don't really know. So these fundamentally are very similar to how the earlier Seekers were, Starscream and Thundercracker and Skywarp, but they're also different enough, and they're different enough from each other due to how their wings are different, that I am going to transform them all separately. But I think we're just gonna just kind of gloss over a lot of stuff because they are just repaints and they're, you know, resculpts too to a certain extent. So in terms of accessories, each one comes with their own set of null rays or whatever they are for the Coneheads. I don't know if they're technically null rays. They're some sort of like, you don't know, things that do other things. Let me get this a little bit lower so it's more centered. Yeah. Raise it up a little bit more so that when I'm picking it up, it's also more centered. Ramjet has actually always been one of my favorites, so I'm going to start with Ramjet. Again, the sculpt is really good. The paint is really good. The colors are great. Everything gets out of the way fairly well for Ramjet and for these guys especially. The wings kind of get in the way of the leg articulation a little bit, but that's a long-standing issue with Coneheads going back, you know, decades. Well, I mean, maybe not decades, but as long as they've had leg articulation. So I guess it has been a couple decades, hasn't it? But anyhow, yeah, I always liked how the like white and the black just really pop on this guy, and then the red accents that super well. But yeah, in terms of accessories, he just comes with these two little null rays, missiles, fuel tanks. I don't know what they're supposed to be. His articulation, he's got a little bit of swivel at the head. His arms are on ball joints that go all the way around, come out for most of a tree pose. His elbows are on ball joints, so that counts as a bend and a swivel. No waist joint, of course. Legs will go that far forward, go that far back, go out for actually the full Van Damme. He can, especially if you move these wings in a way that is conducive to their posability, he will bend almost 90 degrees. And then you got a little bit of wiggle on the toe. Partly for transformation, I'm sure, partly for posability. Again, like I've discussed about these figures before, just the simplicity of this, you know. If I can describe New Age figures as masterpiece figures, these, in that analogy, are almost certainly pretty decent little, like, you know, mainline figures. Like, they don't have as much detail and articulation, but they're all really solid figures. Like Dr. Wu, these little Dr. Wu figures are pretty awesome. Anyhow, let's get him transformed up. First thing we want to do is crack open his chest. Like so. Actually, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this flap out. That'll allow me to move these wings in a bit, which will help me in the cracking the chest open and getting them out of the way. There we go. Now the head, of course, so this is the actual nose cone of the jet. This is just the top of his head. This hull is the same as the Starscream and whatnot. It's just that now his head takes up way more space on the back end of that fuselage nose cone. We're going to bring this back, and it kind of tabs into place there. And then we're going to bring these. You'll see that these little parts on the back plate will plug into, well, not plug into, but you know, they'll mesh into these gaps on the legs, fold the toes in, and then the chest section will fold up, and then you'll kind of clip into the knees there. It's not a solid clip, but it's enough that you know where its home is. And then what we want to do is get these wings up. Oh, snap. The wings actually want to be above these. These wings want to be over these ones. So this one has to be on the inside, and these kind of on the outside. Because there's a tab that goes into place there. So let's get that back into place. And then you'll see there's a little tab right here that'll plug into this hollow on the back of the arm. The arms, yes, do just hang out there doing nothing. And then you'll fold down those wings and fold up these tail fins. And there is Ramjet. All purdy like. That actually is a pretty decent little jet mode. Cat. On to... Why have I forgotten the secret names? I forget. Let's just continue on because I'm already 17 minutes into this. So again, he's got the same sort of accessories. These little things that'll just clip on like that. His articulation is basically all the same, in that his head wiggles a little bit. Ball joints, ball joint. Wings will flappy flap. Legs are on ball joints, go forward, back not at all, out for most of the full Van Damme. These can rotate about, mostly for transformation. All the same articulation. Transformation is going to be mostly the same too, so let's get into that real quick. I'm going to take off his null rays just to make things a bit easier. I mean, they're probably gonna fall off anyhow, so get this little nose cone out of the way. And then rotate this around. There's always a, like some sort of a detent keeping this backpack. Yeah, there's these little tabs right in here. And they seem to go into these little slots right here. It always seems to be a far more secure connection than I expect. Like each time I do this, I'm just like, ooh, I had to tug on that harder than I thought I would have needed to. Plug these in together. Plug that in. Bring these around. Again, these will, they don't like clip in, but they kind of seat into those. And then you've got these tabs on the ends of the wings. Thrust. That's his name, right? Thrust? Yes. I remember now. And then we'll put these on like so. And like so. And there you have Thrust in his jet mode. Again, really good looking, especially for the scale. But like, you hardly even need to call out the caveats. I mean, yeah, his arms are wildly visible, but like, I mean, this isn't any worse than the like classics Transformers, was it? No, I don't think so. And then last but not least is Dirge. Dirge, again, his accessories, he comes with these little missile launcher, no rays or whatnot. He's got, you know, a different assortment of wings on his back. But, like, you know, a lot of the sculpt and the details are similar. I was just actually thinking about this. Yeah, they've got, like, the same sort of details on the legs, but they're different from the details that the original trio of Seekers has. To get them transformed up exactly like we've done before. Mostly the difference with these guys is going to be in terms of how you manage the wings. And then fold this around. Bring up the nose cone. Fold this flap down. This one is going to be like Ramjet in that you want these wings to tuck in on the inside of these little doohickeys here, because there's tabs and you're going to stress something otherwise. These chest sections are going to close back up here. The arms will tab into those sections. And then the wings will come out. I always thought that this guy looked more like a Typhoon than a F-15. With the, like, leading canards and the delta wing configuration. But as far as I know, these guys don't actually correspond to any kind of real world F-15 variants. Yeah, I do know that there was an F-15 variant that had canards, but that didn't have wings like that at all. And then while I'm on it, let's talk about Cosmos. So Cosmos, it came in a 2-pack with one of those Seekers. Again, I don't know which one, but he is a good-looking little mini-bot. He seems to be, I always considered Cosmos to be one of the smallest mini-bots. He's pretty stout. And I don't have any other mini-bots. Well, I might. I'd have to go out and face my cat, though. And then she'd be screaming at me to get in. Now, I think the only other mini-bots that they've come out in the Dr. Wu line is Power Glide and Beachcomber, I believe. But anyhow, he doesn't come with any accessories. He is just what you see here. His head is on a swivel. He's got ball joints here at his shoulders. They are kind of recessed into here, so they kind of, there's a little bit of jank to having them go all the way around, and then they don't go out hardly anything at all. He's got a single joint bend at the elbow, and no in and out articulation whatsoever, though you can get some little bit of in and out on that ball joint, the shoulder ball joint. He does surprisingly have a tiny bit of a waist joint. His legs will go that far forward, go that far back, go out for, you know, most of a Van Damme. He's got a knee bend for, we'll call it 90 degrees. And then he's got a ball joint here at his foot, which is all of his ankle articulation, which is, aside from this forward and backward, which is also facilitated by the transformation, nothing too impressive. He's not quite as solid, I think, as some of the other Dr. Wu figures, but, like, he's not as finicky as one of these guys. These guys do have, like, you know, because they have all the moving bits, and a lot of these bits like to, like, you know, come off or move around a bit. Of course, then, you know, those are all bits that you have to, like, make sure that they go into proper alignment when you transform it, and so they can feel kind of finicky both in, especially in robot mode and also in vehicle mode. Whereas this guy doesn't really feel finicky at all. He's just solid. But to get him transformed up, we're going to take this and unclip this little butt flap. It's a back flap, but we're going to turn it into a butt flap by spinning it around like so. we want to point his toes, and then they will come up like this. And then we'll have this shoulder is on this joint thing. And we want to bring that around. There we go. That's what I was missing. The sliding mechanism right there. And then there's just these little tabs that they'll plug in, and then we'll push this head down. And there he is in his flying saucer mode. And he just looks like a cute little flying saucer. I think it looks great. Let's talk about Inferno and Grapple. So these guys are, you know, of course, Grapple, like always, is a remold of Inferno. So let's talk about Inferno first, and then we'll talk about Grapple second. And we'll go into details on Inferno, and then we'll just gloss over a lot of Grapple because, again, remold. So Inferno, he comes with one accessory, which is this guy right here. This is an additional thing which just clips onto his fist. It'll clip onto either fist. I think the proper one to put it onto is his right, but I don't know off the top of my head. But yeah, that's his accessories. For articulation, his head is on a little bit of a swivel. And then this is a transformation joint, but I'll be damned if you can't use that for looking up mostly, and looking down maybe a little bit. It's got a little bit of wiggle on this fire hose thingamajig. You can see his entire ladders in the back, so they don't do any of the like magic bullshit that they do with New Age, or I need to get myself a New Age Inferno that they do with New Age, or I think it was Takara actually also hid that. Shoulders are on ball. Well, these little wings, these little head wings are on little flappies. Shoulder will go all the way around, especially move that flap out of the way. Goes out only that far. Single joint, like ball joint at the knee or elbow. I keep on saying knee and elbow in the wrong places. Counting as both the elbow joint and a swivel. No waist articulation. Hips will go that far forward, go that far back. It'll come out for basically a full Van Damme. We'll call it most of a Van Damme. There we go. If I get that wheel out of the way, if I get his arm out of the way, if I get all the things out of the way, this is a full Van Damme. We'll give it to them. Single joint knee for about 90 degrees, and then a bit of forward and back, and an ankle tilt. So, posable, especially for the size. And I think that's one of the big caveats that you always got to keep in mind about these Dr. Wu figures, is that, you know, if this was scaled up to like a leader class figure or whatnot, I don't know if I would be like, wow, that's so amazing. I mean, it wouldn't be a terrible figure, of course, by any stretch of the imagination. But I don't know that anybody's necessarily going to be singing its praises, because there's a lot of things that you can do at larger scales that are easier to do at larger scales. Whereas a lot of the things about this figure are impressive, especially for the scale. And again, like, that's kind of sums up Dr. Wu figures. They're impressive at the scale, for sure. I love them. They're all fantastic. I almost wish that I had gone, like, you know, eyeballs deep into Doctor Wu as in addition to New Age. New Age has always kind of been my thing. Especially once I transitioned out of New Age, out of Iron Factory into New Age. Though I do have Iron Factory figures on the way again, so we'll have to check those out. But anyhow, to get this guy transformed up, we want to start by getting his stuff out of the way here, and then you're just going to kind of pull up on this to disconnect that all out. And this will actually all straighten out like so. You can bring this up and then bring these wheels forward. While you're in here, you can take his toes and straighten them out. And that's basically it right there. Everything else is just detail work. Which is the most simplistic way of describing it, but it's kind of accurate too. We're going to take this. I'm not sure what the best way is to hide his head. Because if you just tuck it up like that, I don't know. Nothing really hides it, but like, it's not like super out there either. Rotate his ladder around, bring that out. You want to take this, disconnect that from his hand, put his arms so that they face forward towards his chest, and then fold them back on this joint right here. And as you fold them back, you also want to be cognizant, these little tabs right here are actually, they're going to turn to one tab, so you want to rotate these around at the elbow, 180 degrees. That'll give you, this tab here will fit in that slot there, and then these two tabs are going to turn into one tab, basically. And you're going to reach down and plug them into that spine. And that is basically what holds them all together. And then you can take this and slide it onto the front of his ladder. And there you go. There's Inferno in his fire truck mode. And it's just a fantastic looking little fire truck. Now let's talk about Grapple for a minute. Grapple is mostly the same figure with mostly the same stuff. The differences being is that he's got a crane instead of a ladder. He doesn't have the head wings, and he's got this grapple claw instead of the little fire hose thing. But it's basically all the same articulation. Arm goes around, comes out, elbow joints on the ball joint. You got a ball joint here. It works better if you get the like wheels out of the way. Woo, Van Damme. Knee joint, ankle joint, all of it's the same as I just described. I often look at these figures and wonder, how do they paint those tiny little eyes? Because his eyes are definitely painted a metallic blue. But like, that is the tiniest paint app that I can imagine. I don't know. Let's get him transformed up. It's basically going to be the same way. So pop off his head, straighten all this out. You want to rotate this head up like so. This is going to come out and around. We're going to pop off this claw. This time I'm going to rotate this before we do this. See if this works any better. Bring the arms forward. Bring them then back. Tab them together. Oh, there we go. Tab them together. The feet are going to straighten out. They're going to tab together. There we go. There we go. And there we go. Oh. That tabbed in securely, but it also popped his head off. How do I mitigate this? Look, I transformed him out of vehicle mode into robot mode, but I didn't do it the other way around. So... And then this boom, you gotta like, it's really difficult to get started. But once you get it going, it comes straight out. And then you can attach this guy onto the end of it like so. We're just going to leave that out like so. So he looks like he's grabbing his own brain, man. Oh, hey. Forgot to move the tires forward. There we go. Decent. Alright, so Galvatron. Now, Galvatron was in the first Doctor Who set. It was Galvatron and Soundwave, but not Sound Blaster, the black version of Soundwave. And this is just straight up a reissue of that figure. And so let's talk about it a little bit. His accessory that it comes with is his fusion cannon, attaches onto his arm. It's molded in this nice little orange plastic. Nice looking. And he looks the part. He's got kind of a scowly face. You know, he's purple in all the right places, gray in all the right places. This gunmetal paint is actually really good looking. And he's a decent looking Galvatron. Now, I have feelings about Galvatron. I think that he's kind of a half-ass figure. Pretty much always. Because, like, his alt mode never looks good. Never, ever, ever, ever looks good. The leader class that we got didn't look good. The Voyager class that we got with the Headmaster version, I forget what class that was, but that didn't look good. The, like, Classics one that we got way back in the day, that one didn't look good. There's a curse of Galvatron, and I don't know that this does much to alleviate the curse of Galvatron, but let's talk about his articulation first and then get him transformed. So his head is on a swivel. I think it might not be a ball joint. It just swivels. Whether it's a ball joint or not, it really just swivels. His arms are on ball joints, though. They'll go all the way around, go out for most of a tree pose. Double jointed elbows. Leaves this little elbow tread hanging out, though. No waist. Wait, he does have waist articulation. He's got a waist articulation right there. That's nice. Legs go that far forward, that far back. Go out for like half of a Van Damme. Knee bend is super deep, though. So he could like do some like big deep knee bends. And it's a good looking Galvatron figure. To get him transformed up, I'm gonna have to remember how to do this. I haven't done this actually. That is gonna go up, and then his head is going to recess down. Yes. And then this is going to come out and plug onto that area. I think his legs are just going to go like so. And then I'm not sure if you need to rotate these legs first before you put them together, but they will flip around and plug into each other. One thing to keep in mind, there is this tab in here. This tab in here will plug into this little slot right here. And if you don't have it lined up just right, it'll have difficulties doing that. So you got to line it up. Yeah, and there's Galvatron. He's totally a thing. Yeah, he looks like shit. But I mean, it's par for course. It's literally par for course for Galvatron, so. It doesn't look like a tank. It doesn't look like a gun emplacement. It just looks like... I don't know. It just looks like a... Yeah. It just looks like a thing dragging ass across the carpet. But... yeah, we'll get that out of the way. Next up, we've got Perceptor. Now, Perceptor, I believe, came all by his lonesome in a pack. It feels like, messing with him, he feels like he's got a little bit more engineering than your average Doctor Wu figure. Maybe that's why he came by himself. But he is really sharp looking. I want to say... no, maybe it also... Oh, I was going to say, I wanted to say that this blue is actually molded in color, but upon taking a closer look, I'm pretty certain it's just thoroughly painted. But he's looking really good. The red and blue pop really well, though his blue is kind of blending into my background. And in terms of accessories, he comes with none whatsoever. This is just him. He does have some articulation, though. We can bring his microscope down, up. His head is on a swivel and a hinge, though this microscope takes up so much of this space that you gotta like fold it all out of the way to get a good grip on his head to rotate it left and right. Though, of course, if you rotate it to his left, he's got microscope in the way, so you can't even see anything. But that's a common Perceptor problem. His shoulders are on ball joints that go all the way around. They come out for the full tree pose. He's got a single joint bend at the elbow. He has a little bit of wrist motion, so you can like bring him out like this and then like rotate his wrists in like he's like, you know, trying to look tough. He'd be like, "Arr!" Trying to look tough. I used to date a girl who was like 5'1", and when she tried to look tough, that's exactly what she looked like. Does have a waist swivel. Legs will go that far forward, that far back. Go out for the full Van Damme. Actually, that's like 115% Van Damme. Very nice. Single joint bend at the knee. Of course, he's also got other joints in his leg for like transformation and whatnot. And ankle articulation like so, and a little bit of toe bend. Now, this guy, of course, because he's Perceptor, and Perceptor... how did it go? Perceptor has the microscope mode, right? But then he also has like a half-ass tank mode, and I mean really half-ass tank mode. I believe I showed that when I did the Legacy Perceptor. That was designed with a tank mode, And I think that the buzz going around was that, oh, this is the first time that they've designed him with a tank mode from, like, the first party source. I think that was the buzz. I don't recall offhand. But, yeah. So, he's technically a triple changer, but it's the most, like, half-assed thing. So, first of all, let's turn him into his microscope. So, we're going to take his head, flip that all the way back. If you want to, you can rotate his head around first. So, when you flip it back, it's less painfully obvious that it's just his head. You've got a T-shaped tab here and a T-shaped slot here. And you want to bring this in, and then you've got multiple joints in here. You want to turn this in like so, and then kind of like slide it across using that other joint. Because if you just try to put them in, they won't go together. Trust me. Ask me how I know. And then his arms are going to point up like so. And then they're going to come down on these little transformation joints and just kind of recess into his shoulders. His hand will fold in like so. And we'll do the same for the other side. While we're here, let's pry open this chest at least a little bit so we can get to that later. And then we're going to extend out his leg. Basically, his leg is going to go forward, out, and then you're going to bend it at this mid-thigh joint and tilt the toe. And again, for this other side, forward, out, bend it at the mid-thigh joint. Bring this all the way down. And there he is. It's a freaking microscope. Or something like that. And I mean, to be fair, I don't think it looks any worse than your average Perceptor microscope mode. But it sure as shit doesn't look any better. It's a perfectly serviceable Perceptor, you know? And I think that's especially, again, I keep on saying this isn't going to be a drinking game. Especially at the scale, that's really all you can really ask for. But, yeah. To get him transformed into his tank mode is, I think you just go, there's a panel here that you open that up, and then this comes around. And I think that it just plugs straight in like so. Oh, no, I was wrong. I'm going to keep this out, keep this bent, and then this opens up, and that folds all the way around, like so. And then this closes back up. And that's how you do the leg. So we're going to do that again to this other side real quick. Open up this panel, swing that all the way around. Tab that into that little hole. That part stays out. And then now you've got this is now a gun. Which, you know, if this was a microscope, this would be the part that you're looking into. And now they're telling me that it's a gun. I would not want to look down the barrel of a gun. No matter how safe it was supposed to be. So that's Perceptor's other mode. And then of this 10-pack, last but not least, we're going to look at Galvatron. The Unicron Galvatron. So in the Transformers Season 3, I want to believe. The post-Transformers the movie season. Galvatron did a thing where he, like, captured part of Unicron and, I don't know, like, merged with it and became partially Unicron, I think. I haven't actually seen the episode, so. But I do know that there was a scene where he was, you know, it was like a little Unicron planet with Galvatron arms and legs. And so that's what Dr. Wu has done. Yeah, looks like me after Thanksgiving. But his articulation is basically the same. In fact, these are all straight up. This is the head and the arms and the legs. The exact same unmodified head and arms and legs from the earlier Galvatron. This one in particular has got purple thighs instead of gray thighs. But it's all the exact same stuff. So, yeah. Head is still on a swivel. Arms are still on ball joints. They still go all the way around and move out. Though now, because of the angle that his ball joints are on, he's got even more of a... He's got an actual tree pose now. Legs are on ball joints. They'll go that far forward and that far back. As you pull them forward, they'll kind of come out. So he can actually get... You get sit down. It's just... It's so stupid looking. I'm sorry. But it's so stupid looking. Knee bend. And yeah, so that's everything. To get him transformed up, we're going to take off his fusion cannon. We're going to open up this guy here. Actually, the first thing I want to do, and this is actually the hardest part of this transformation, is to take this little collar and you got to chase it around. I say hardest part, but I'm having exceptionally an easy time with it. Chase that collar all the way around. So it kind of, no, he looks like he's wearing a big old turtleneck. Yes, there's your Emperor of Destruction. We're going to crack this open, push this panel through. That'll allow us the space to fold in the head. You can fold in the arms. Well, let's do the legs first. So the legs are going to come down and around. And you're going to fold them in like so, just like when you transformed him into his whatever that mode is. And then this is going to rotate. Oh wait, no, they come up. Yes, they come up. Now let's get these flaps down first. There we go. They come up and then you rotate them. And then the legs will fold in like that. The arms will fold in like that. The gun will tab in just across like so. I seem to have plugged in the gun in the wrong place. Oh, what am I doing wrong? Oh, I bet you that's it. Fold up his arms. Yeah, boy. Look, it's Galvatron. I mean, Unicron. Yeah, he turns into a little spiky ball. And that's it. I don't think he transformed in the show. But I'm so happy. I'm so happy that they gave him a transformation. into just a stupid ball. I love it. But anyhow, there's Galvatron and Thrust and Dirge and Ramjet and Grapple and Cosmos and Delta Magnus and Inferno and Perceptor. And these guys are all fantastic. Dr. Wu is hitting it out of the park all the way across the board with these tiny, tiny little sub-Legends figures. They're fantastic. I don't remember if I have a playlist of them up. I'm going to make sure I get a playlist. And so I'm going to see about putting in the things in the chapters so that you can skip to whichever figure you want. And yeah, that's basically all I've got. See, it would have been like 5 minutes for each figure if I had done them all, each and every one. And then that just would have felt cheap. So this is a bit long with 10 figures, but it would have felt really short with one figure. Anyhow, thanks everybody for watching. You guys are fantastic. Everybody stay awesome and be good to each other. See ya. Bye. Chloe, when did you become so huge? When did you become so huge? You were like half the size when I got you. Why do you keep growing? Why do you keep... Ah, I fell for the trap. Are you sploot? Are you sploot? Are you sploot?